In this video, I'm going to start a 6-figure trucking company from scratch and show you exactly how to do it in just 5 steps. By the end of this video, you'll know what type of trucking company to start, how to set up your business, what permits you need, and how to consistently find high-paying loads. I'm not joking when I say this. I've seen people charge $4,000 for this training video that I'm about to give away for free. All I ask in return is that you take notes and just watch the video to the end. That's it. If you give me the next 25 minutes of your time, you will have a successful trucking business. So, with that out of the way, let's jump into the first step, which could make or break your entire business, and it's where we set up your business blueprint. Before you even start your trucking company, you need to plan out exactly what you're going to do to succeed. You need to know what type of niche you're going to join, who your competitors are, who's your customer, what are you going to offer, and so on and so forth. You need to map out how you're going to succeed in trucking before you actually start building. And you can do that by making a business plan. Now, I know this can be hard and really confusing, which is why I've made a free business plan template for you guys to use. I'll show you where you can go to download it for free, but first, let me just show you what it actually looks like. So in this business plan, we're basically just trying to map out your road to success, and we're gonna do that by answering a few questions. So, for example, the first question in here is, what does your company do and why will it be successful? Now, when you're answering this, I want you to be as detailed as possible, and you also need to make sure that you're doing your own research online. Think about what type of trucking company you want to start. Do you want to run semi-trucks? Do you want to run box trucks? What type of loads are you going to be hauling? What is your competitive advantage going to be? Things along those lines. If you can't think of anything and you're struggling to fill out the business plan, you can just use ChatGPT to help you out. So, for example, if I needed help answering the first question, I can just go to ChatGPT and type in the following phrase. Help me answer the following question for a business plan worksheet. What does your company do and why will it be successful? Just for context, I want to run a trucking company that operates semi-trucks and hauls cars for dealerships. And that's it. Okay, ChatGPT will do all the hard work for you and give you an answer that you can build off of. Now, I've already gone ahead and done this for you. I've provided an example under each of these questions that you can also use as inspiration. Again, don't just copy and paste what I wrote. Obviously do your own research online and be as detailed as possible. Now, if you want to download my free business plan template, all you need to do is just join my free Skool community, click on the Classrooms tab, and you can find it under the Trucking Templates folder. I'll make sure to leave a link to this community in the description below. Anyways, now that we have finished the business plan and we have a blueprint for our trucking company, we're ready for the fun stuff in step number 2, which is setting up the business. We're gonna come up with our business name, make a logo, build a website, and create an LLC. This might sound like a lot, but it's literally going to take you less than 10 minutes. Let me show you how. First and foremost, let's start off with the company name. We want to keep it simple and have it relate to the trucking industry. The goal is for someone to hear our business name and immediately know what type of service that we provide. A really easy way to do this is to use keywords in your business name like trucking or transport, logistics, movers, etc. So for example, if I'm starting a semi-truck company that hauls cars, I could use a name like Car Movers. It's simple and straight to the point. Now, if someone is already using that name, or if I want to get fancy with it, I could purposely misspell car with a K. Again, it's not necessary, but you'll notice that a lot of business names are already taken. So you have to get kind of creative to stand out. At this point, if you're having trouble coming up with a business name, don't worry, that's completely normal. Again, you can use ChatGPT to help you out. Just use this prompt that I'll show on screen, and it should come up with some really creative business names for you. Anyways, when you find a business name that you're happy with, the next step is to find a domain name. The domain name is just the name people can type into Google to look for your website. So, for example, if my business name is Car Movers, I want people to find my website by typing in www.carmovers.com. Okay, so how do we do that? It's actually very simple. To get a domain name for your business, you need to buy it through a domain registrar like GoDaddy or Namecheap. Just go on either of those websites, type out the domain name that you want, and see if it's available to purchase. And if the .com version of your domain name isn't available, just pick a new business name and try again. All right, so when you've settled on a business name and you've bought your website domain name, it's time for you to create a professional looking logo, and we're actually going to make one in less than 60 seconds. A lot of people stress out when it comes to this part, but all you need to do is go to canva.com, get on their free trial, click on create a logo, and just use one of their templates. There's so many options in here for you to pick from, and they all look super professional. Now, once you pick a design that you like, all you need to do is just change the text to your business name, and that's it. I'm not even joking. This is exactly how I made my logo for my trucking company. And remember, it doesn't need to be perfect, okay? It just needs to get done. You can always change this logo in the future if you really want to. Now, if you still think this is too much work, you can just pay someone $50 to $150 on Fiverr to do it for you. Anyways, now that we have our business name, our domain name, and our logo, it's time to finally build a website. Please don't skip this step, okay? Your business needs a website. Most new trucking companies think that they don't need one since they'll just work off of load boards, but that's a huge mistake. You're severely limiting the amount of opportunities you can get by not having a simple one-page website. That's right. Your website doesn't have to be incredibly fancy or cost you a lot of money, okay? All you need is a simple landing page for your business that describes what you do, what you offer, how you're different, and how to get a quote. That's it. And the best part is, you don't even need to build this website from scratch because I've already done that for you. If you go to truck.ai and sign up for the 30-day free trial, you'll not only get a pre-made website template, but you also get a full CRM system that you can use to store leads, send email or SMS marketing, and even build out marketing automations. I built this software for other truck dispatchers like me, but you can also use it for your trucking company. And hey, if that sounds too confusing, no worries. You can make your own using a website builder like Squarespace or Wix, and just use one of their templates. Okay, it'll be very simple, very easy for you to do, and it costs around $30 per month for the website hosting, and that's really it. So, now that you have your website, it's time to officially create your business entity, okay? Before you start doing business, it's a good idea to set up a business entity like an LLC, a corporation, or a partnership for your trucking business. The reason you want to do this is because a business entity can help protect some of your personal assets if there's ever a claim against the business. So basically, if your business gets sued, you won't have to lose your house and car and literally everything that you own. Now, before you do this, before you set up a corporation, an LLC, or a partnership, I would highly recommend you hire a lawyer to help you out. Each business entity has its own advantages, so do some research before you make a decision and decide what's best for you. But in my opinion, an LLC should work just fine for most of you watching, and that's actually what I use. Anyways, when you've decided on a business entity type, you can use an online service like Busy to set up your business because they can get you up and running very quickly without you having to go through the confusing government website. And if you end up using some of their more expensive packages that they offer, they'll even provide you with a EIN number, which is something that you need, a operating agreement, a business tax consultant, and much more. So it's definitely worth looking into. All right, so now that we have our business all set up and ready to go, we can move on to step number 3, which is to get our trucking authority. The trucking industry is highly regulated, and there's a lot of permits and licenses you need to make sure you get. Otherwise, you could end up paying thousands of dollars in fines. But don't worry, I'm gonna break down every single permit you will need, how much it costs, and where you can get it. Now, before you can even begin to apply for your trucking authority, you need to make a decision. Are you going to operate interstate or intrastate? Or in other words, are you going to cross state lines to deliver loads, or are you going to only deliver loads within your state? For this example, let's assume that we're going to be an interstate carrier. So we're going to be crossing state lines. The first thing you'll need to get is your US DOT and MC number. The US DOT number is like a social security number for your trucking business, okay? The government uses this number to monitor and collect information on how safely you're operating your company. The MC number, on the other hand, basically just gives you permission to deliver loads across different states. To get your US DOT and MC number, you'll have to pay roughly $300, and you can apply for it online through the FMCSA website. As soon as you finish the application, you'll get your US DOT number immediately. However, you will have to wait 1 to 2 weeks for the MC number to come in. After you apply for the US DOT and MC number, you will need to fill out the BC3 form, okay? All this form does is designate a process agent in each state where you're going to operate or travel through as a trucking company. So basically, you need a person or a business in every single state who is authorized to receive legal documents on behalf of your company. Now, to file this form, this BC3 form, you first need to pick which process agent you want to work with. This might sound confusing, but the FMCSA makes this really easy for us. They've actually provided us with a whole list of all the approved process agents. So I would personally recommend just picking someone from there. Again, all links are in the description below. Anyways, after you make your pick, just go to that process agent's website and use their BC3 form service. You can expect to pay somewhere around $20 per year to $300 per year for this service. And after you pay them, they will fill out this BC3 form for you. You can't do it yourself. Personally, I like using Northwest Registered Agent, and it's who I'm using for my trucking company. I pay $125 per year, which isn't that bad. And they also do same-day uploads, which is something that not a lot of other process agents offer. I'll leave a link to their website in the description below so you can just use their service if you want to. Alright, so after the BC3 form comes one of the most expensive things you'll need for your trucking company, which is insurance. According to the FMCSA rules, you need at least $750,000 of liability insurance to operate your trucking company. But don't make the mistake of listening to them. If you only get $750,000 of liability insurance, I promise you, you will never move a single load. In reality, if you want to work with brokers, you will need a minimum of $1 million in liability insurance and $100,000 in cargo insurance. So again, even though federally you're only required to have $750,000 in liability insurance, brokers won't work with you unless you meet their minimum requirements. Anyways, for new trucking companies, finding insurance is really hard, so you will have to shop around a little bit and get different quotes. But from my experience, I've had the best experience with Progressive, Nationwide, and Century Insurance. Also, just another note, you can set up your insurance before you actually buy, lease, or rent your truck or trailer. If you plan on going that route, you will need to give the insurance company the VIN number of the equipment that you plan on using in order for them to give you a quote. Now, before we move forward, you need to understand that you don't have a lot of time to get this done, okay? As soon as you apply for your US DOT and MC number, you only have 90 days to file your BC3 form and get your insurance. After 90 days, if you don't get these two things on file, your application will be dismissed and you might have to start this process all over again and pay that $300 fee again. So make sure you file your BC3 form and get insurance as soon as possible. Anyways, up until now, all the steps I've mentioned can be completed without owning a truck, okay? You can apply for the US DOT and MC number, you can fill out the BC3 form, and you can even set up your insurance without ever owning a truck. However, there's just a few more permits you'll need in order to finish setting up your trucking authority, but in order to apply for them, you will need to own a truck. So every permit that I'm about to mention right now, just keep in mind, you need to buy, rent, or lease a truck before you can get those permits. So with that in mind, after you set up your insurance, you'll need to register with the UCR or Unified Carrier Registration. And you can do this through their website. This should cost you $37 to $59 for 1 to 3 trucks, I believe. And as you grow your fleet, you will have to pay more and more towards this fund. You will also need to file Form 2290, which is for your heavy vehicle use tax. This only applies to vehicles with a gross weight of 55,000 pounds or more. So if you're running a box truck or a hot shot across state lines, you might not need to worry about this. However, for semi-truck companies, we will need to pay somewhere around $100 to $550 per year for each truck in our fleet. Now, to file this Form 2290, you will need to work with an e-file provider that has been approved by the IRS. I personally use a company called 2290 Rapid Fire. However, I'll leave a link to the full list of approved providers in the description below. Next, you will need your IRP plates. So these plates basically give you legal authority to travel into other states and use their roads for commercial use. Think of this as a tax that you pay to help maintain the highway and the local roads of each state that you drive in. Now, the initial fee that you have to pay to get these plates will change depending on your home state. Sometimes it's free, sometimes you'll have to pay. However, when you actually start operating your business, you will have to pay based on the number of miles you run in each state. Typically speaking, you can expect to pay somewhere around $1,500 to $2,000 per truck each year. Now, I know this might sound like a lot, but remember, you're only paying this tax when your business is actually operating and you're actually moving loads. Now, to get these plates, these IRP plates, you will have to go through the state government's website. So for example, if my trucking company is in Florida, I would just Google Florida IRP plate registration and follow their instructions. Anyways, after you secure your IRP plates, you will need to register for IFTA, or the International Fuel Tax Agreement. The IFTA is a tax that you have to pay on the amount of fuel purchased in each state. Again, just like the IRP, the initial fee that you have to pay will depend on your home state and how much they charge. However, after the first year, you will have to pay based on the amount of fuel you purchase in each state. To set this up, you do it the same way you would with the IRP plates. Go to your state government's website and search for IFTA. And finally, the last set of permits you'll need to finish setting up your trucking authority are actually state-specific permits. There are 4 states in the US that charge an additional tax beyond what the IRP and the IFTA covers. These states are Kentucky, New Mexico, New York, and Oregon. So if you plan on driving in or through those states, you will need to go to their government website and register for their state-specific permits. I'll leave a link for all 4 in the description below. Now, I know this was a lot of information, so let me just summarize everything that we just talked about. As an interstate carrier, you will need to file for your US DOT and MC number. You will then file your BC3 form through a process agent. You will then set up $1 million of general liability and $100,000 of cargo insurance. You will then get your UCR permit. You will file Form 2290 through an e-file provider. You will get your IRP plates and decals through your state government. You will register for IFTA and get your decals through your state government. And finally, you will get additional state permits for Kentucky, New Mexico, New York, and Oregon if you plan on driving in or through them. That's it. Okay, that is all you need as an interstate carrier. Now, if you're an intrastate carrier, or in other words, a trucking company that will only operate in your home state, then you don't need all these permits. All you need is a US DOT number, file the Form 2290, and then check to see if there are any additional state permits that you need for your home state. All the hard stuff is done now, guys. Congratulations. You're just one step away from picking up loads and making generational wealth. But before you do that, you need to buy some equipment. I'm not just talking about your truck and trailer. Obviously, you will need that. And I've made a whole video where I break down how to buy one. However, there are 2 very important pieces of equipment that every trucking company needs. I'm talking about an ELD and a fuel card. An ELD stands for an electronic logging device, which is basically a tool that's attached to your truck and records your driving hours. You are required by law to track the number of hours you're operating and to make sure you're compliant with the hours of service rules. Again, I'll leave a link to where you can find all these rules in the description below. They're super, super important. It's also really important for you guys to invest in a solid ELD. And in my opinion, the best ELD you can probably buy right now is from a company called Samsara, and it's what we're using for our entire fleet. Their ELDs are really easy to use. They're very affordable, and most importantly, their customer support is actually super helpful. Now, I also mentioned you would need a fuel card, and the reason you'll need that is to minimize one of the biggest expenses of running a trucking company, which is of course fuel. The advantage of using a fuel card over a normal, credit card is that you'll get detailed reporting of your fuel expense. You can set a spend limit if you have drivers that will be using this, and you can even get a few cents off each gallon of fuel that you fill up. This can actually end up saving you thousands and thousands of dollars every single year, And not to mention, this also helps you file your IFTA taxes. Now, before you pick a fuel card, you'll want to find one that has a massive network of fuel stations with the best discounts. And the company that I've been using is called Mudflap. Their fuel card is accepted almost everywhere in the US, and there's no monthly fees or hidden charges that you have to pay. Again, if you go through my link in the description, you can get it for the cheapest price. You're going to buy this stuff anyways, might as well save yourself some money and buy it through those links. All right, we finally made it to the last and most important step of starting your trucking business, step number 5, which is finding loads. You need to be able to find consistent and profitable loads if you want to run a successful trucking company, but it can be hard trying to figure out where to find these loads. But don't worry, I'm going to show you 2 of the best ways to find these loads and make money, starting off with the most obvious one, which is load boards. The most common method that new owner-operators and trucking companies use to find loads is through load boards. If you've never heard of a load board, just think of it as an online marketplace where brokers and shippers can list loads for delivery and where carriers like you can bid on them. Now, there's a bunch of load boards you can pick from, okay? But in my opinion, most of them are trash. The only load boards that you should even consider are DAT and Selectus. If you're running a semi-truck company, use DAT. And if you're running a box truck or a hotshot type of trucking company, then I would recommend Selectus. However, if I'm being completely honest with you, load boards aren't going to make you a lot of money in the long run, okay? The trucking industry is currently in a recession right now, and everyone using load boards is struggling to even survive. So, if you want to make generational wealth in trucking, which is very, very possible, you will need to learn one of the hardest methods of finding loads, which is booking direct shipper loads. These are loads that don't involve any middlemen like brokers and dispatchers. So you, as a trucking company, are responsible for reaching out to shippers and contracting freight directly with them. Direct shipper loads are so valuable that even if you secure one route for a full year, you could end up making an extra $100,000 in revenue. So if you want to learn how to do this, go ahead and watch this video right here, where I show you step by step how I find direct shipper loads, how I negotiate rates with them, and how I got my first direct shipper contract when I only had one truck. Anyways, with that being said, thanks for watching, guys. Go watch this video and I'll see you there.